Well, I was very impressed with observing a group of people who were so talented, but also have had the courage to be themselves, even in a world that doesn't always accept them. It's very powerful and inspiring, and I feel like the type of stories I like to tell, in some sense, were about people who felt out of place, people who felt other, and so, when I started working on things like Freaks and Geeks and Girls and The 40-Year-Old Virgin, I think I've always wanted to tell stories about people who want to fit in. So I was really drawn to this material and all of these people, for that reason. The first thing I ever directed in my career was an episode of The Larry Sanders Show, which was about Scott Thompson's character, who was Hank's assistant. And he was gay and suing the show for being a hostile workplace because they made too many gay jokes around him. So that was the first thing I ever directed, and I worked a lot with Scott Thompson about how to approach that script. So it feels, full circle to get the opportunity to help get this together. I think the balance of comedy and drama and romance works when it's just organic. If you set up someone's problem, their resistance to relationships, why they've had problems, and then you just set up obstacles. The obstacles are usually funny. I mean, any bad date is funny. Any bad romantic attempt that falls apart is funny. And I've always thought that you can be grounded and broad at the same time, because people are really weird and people make giant mistakes and people are silly, and you can be real and do stuff that's pretty outrageous. So I feel like when your heart's there the whole time, it really holds the romantic part of it together. I think the main thing is that Billy means it. It's like a very heartfelt story and performance. Well, Billy had an idea of a type of person when he was writing with Nick, and we read a lot of people. And then, Luke came in, and suddenly every single joke worked. When it was the right person, just everything worked. It's hard to describe. It's just chemistry. Why are Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan amazing together? You can't really intellectualize it. It just all falls into place. And that's how it felt with Luke. And then I think it inspired Billy and Luke in rewriting the script and, improvising and collaborating with Luke. Because when you have the right person, you get so excited, it just puts so much fuel in your tank. I think they wanted to have a moment where Billy would allow himself to be vulnerable and really tell his personal story and talk about his pain and his journey, with Luke. And the real question was, how could you get to it? How long could you stop being funny for to truly open up? Because this is a thing that his character's afraid to do, is to open up. He doesn't want to get hurt, and so it seemed like a very important scene. And when we shot it, it was on the first day of shooting, which is very unfair to Billy to do it. There was a sex scene the first day and this long monologue, and it was much longer on the day. It was twice as long. They found the best pieces and put it in the film. But it was vital to the story, and it's a lot of people's favorite part of the movie because he reveals so much. Well, I think, people are different and cultures are different, and, how people connect. But to me, it's all the same thing. You have to put yourself out there. We're all terrified to do it. We're all terrified to risk somebody hurting us, being abandoned or being left or broken, or it's brutal. I mean, it's hard to take those chances to hope to find the right person. So I always thought it was universal. I mean, some of the details of how you get there might be different, of what the dating world is like and all of that. But I think, the heart stuff, I think, is exactly the same. I did learn an enormous amount. I mean, it was years, being educated about all aspects of the dating scene. And but to me, I see myself in it, because the idea, for me as an older person, even thinking of being young and having to connect to people through apps and, going on Raya or, Tinder or Grindr, like, it sounds so terrifying to me that I'm right there in the comedy of it. Just meeting people who is scary, much less strangers, and trying to make connections or brief connections. It's all comedy, and it's all as terrifying as I can imagine anything could be. Well, he's one of the great composers. He did Hairspray. I know him from when I wrote a song with him and Adam McKay for the Oscars called "No One Likes Comedy at the Oscars," I believe was the name of the song that we wrote, that Jack Black and Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly sang one year. And he also scored George of the Jungle, which my wife, Leslie Mann, starred in. So I'm well aware of his genius, and I think we were very lucky to get him on the project, because that type of musical support changes everything. It really sets the mood, and it makes it a classic rom-com, and it's really, really a partner in every moment of the film.